The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adriano Donardo, Gianni Delacoli, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The intro song is Fireworks by Jazar. Di Giovanni, Donardo, the Calcio Guys, special episode this week. Not recording at our usual time, recording in the middle of Champions League games, so we might be a little bit distracted. At least Adriano will. But we have a special guest all the way from Napoli, goalkeeper for Napoli Femminile, Kelly Chiavaro. Kelly, how's it going?
Very good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you on, because it's the first time we've had a player on. Usually we just get fans and, we just talk as fans, but it's nice to have this other perspective.
Well, that's awesome. I had no idea you guys didn't have players before. Happy to be the first.
Yeah, there's a first for everything. And normally what we do when we have a fan on, we'll ask them, how did you become a fan of the team you support? But you as a player, how did you start playing soccer as a kid, and kind of tell us a bit about your career path that led you to Napoli?
Yeah, so I started back in Blainville with as a Timbit basically when I was really young, 3 or 4, and then I was doing a ton of different sports, and at one point I had to choose, and I picked soccer, and then I went through the whole classic female Quebec soccer player path that there is. I went at the regional team, then got called up for a Team Quebec camp. From there, I got called up selected for the CNHP with the National Training Center. And then from there, I knew I wanted to keep playing in college, I guess, or university, but I never was attracted with the university in Canada for some weird reason. I always wanted to go abroad and wanted to go to the US. And when I started the process of looking at schools, at least, there wasn't that many players who had done it. And so I was asking questions, and even I had struggles getting a school in the US because they didn't know what CJEP was and how our education is different. So there was definitely some setbacks with that. But I basically reached out to all the schools that I was interested in. I sent 500 emails. I would harass these teams and just be hey, I'm interested. I want to play in the US, give me a shot, or, just sending my CV and stuff. And then I got some, callbacks from different schools, and I went to a camp at FSU, and FSU is the school I always wanted to go to. And so I went there for a week, got seen by the coaches, and we were talking and such, but then got back, and during a Saputo Cup game to go to the national championships, I tore my ACL. And so then I had to stay an extra year in CJEP, which kind of threw me off for the college process because I wasn't the right age basically to go into college. But for a goalkeeper, at least, it's super lucky. It's all about timing, right? So I had emailed this school, Colgate, where I went to in New York. They had not answered me, and then I had emailed them a second time. I would go to school at John Abbott early, and I would just send emails all day. I would go there early, send emails, check my emails all the time. And one day Colgate messaged me back and was hey, our starting goalkeeper just had a concussion and she can't play anymore. We're looking for a goalkeeper ASAP. And so I got super lucky with that. And then I started the process of, talking to them, and I went on a visit, then went on an official visit, and basically fell in love with the place. So then I went there. And then the whole time I was there, I always knew I wanted something more. Yes, the environment was great, but I always wanted to, take that next step and go to Europe. And so I started my senior year. So while you're in college, you're not allowed to have an agent, but I knew my season was approaching, the end of my season was approaching. So I started looking up agents that I thought were interesting and would help me get to where I want. And so then at that point, I ended up getting an agent, and then the whole process of coming to Europe happened, which has been great, honestly.
Wow. But, I mean, that's a lot. That's the dream. That's like the dream come true for many athletes, men or women. The women's game. It's developing. I don't think obviously it's where it wants to be or where it needs to be for that matter. So stories like this, it's just fantastic, and we're so proud to say that you come from Montreal, Italian heritage as well, and you're living the dream going out to Napoli. Kind of growing up, and like, what was, because you mentioned everything you mentioned about your whole process, but like, was there a specific moment in time where you were like, I need to go to Europe? Because obviously it's night and day from North America to it is in Europe for Calcio as a whole.
Yeah.
Like, was there any particular moment in time that really said like, listen, I have a shot and I can really make the jump, and because it's a big risk too. You come from abroad and you're going out there to really prove yourself. So was there any type of moment like that in your path there?
Definitely. So I always knew that I wanted to play soccer professionally. Like, you go to the doctor every year, your yearly checkup, and they always ask you like, what do you want to do when you're older? And I always said I want to be a soccer player, and this doctor was like, you need another plan. And I was like, there's no other plan. This is it. Like, that's what I'm going to be doing. And every time she would like be like on me about it and be like, well, that's not, like, you need something else. And I was like, nope, that's what it is. But then when I went to college, I realized that the NWSL, and which is an absolutely great league, like such amazing players go there, and now more and more players from Europe are like flip-flopping back and forth and experiencing both. But going through in the NCAA, I realized that the NWSL resembles the NCAA a lot, where it's like, the girls who are getting drafted, there's one goalie a year getting drafted or two, and they're all girls who go to Stanford, go to UNC, and I went to Colgate University. I went to a school where the academics was also very, very important, which was super important for my mom, because she was like, if something happens, you've had a ton of injuries. If something happens and you can't continue soccer, at least you'll have this education. And, I know a lot of players who go to school in the US and then come back and their degree isn't worth much in Canada because they went to these schools that the education isn't the greatest. And so I went to like a smaller school, which, the level was good and stuff, and it was fine, but it wasn't something that was going to get me seen for the draft. And so I knew that I wasn't necessarily interested in playing in the United States. Like, I don't know, when I watch soccer, I don't watch the NWSL. I always watch like the English league and all like the league in Italy. Like I know all of the teams here. I know all the big players. And I feel like in college was really the time where I was like, it's time to find an agent. Am I looking for an agent who's going to help me be in the US or in Europe? And like, I definitely went for the European path.
That's awesome to hear. We have a ton of social media questions, regarding your career, your life in Napoli. We'll start off one question from Tony Fabri. He asked, who is your Calcio role model? Is there anybody you looked up to, or are there players,
female, anybody?
Yeah, you modeled your game after as a goalkeeper?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I think this is a classic, but definitely Gigi Buffon. People at home still call me Gigi. Like on my Blainville team, I play for the semi-pro team in the summer, and they all call me Gigi. Even if you go on my pictures on Instagram, a ton of them always comment like, let's go Gigi and things like that. And people who don't know me don't understand, but I definitely Gigi Buffon, been a fan my whole life. So.
No, that's all. That's awesome. And so, I think we were almost we could have bet money on you answering that question the way you did, especially with your Italian roots as well, and like it was almost a given that was going to be the answer. But I mean, it's rightfully so, right? So especially for a goalie, I think that's the player that a lot of people definitely look up to. In terms of we mentioned obviously your career path. Canada, the States, now you're abroad. What was like, we have a question here now. Let me just pull it up. It's by our friends from the Raf and Raf rant, I'm pretty sure. Rafa Rispo and Raf Pizarro, talking about the hardest parts about like making the jump and moving abroad. Obviously, it's one thing to move from city to city within Canada, go to the States, but now you're going across the pond, you're going to a whole different world. I'm not too sure where your family is from Italy, but just to say you made a big jump, and like I said before, a lot of risks were taken to make that jump. So what would you say were the hardest parts in really making the jump and, getting used to a whole different lifestyle?
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, being in the States, like I was in New York, so I was about a 5-hour drive away from home. So if I really need to go home or if there was an event or anything happening, I could easily go back. And then I think what really prepared me for this season, at least, and like to be so far away from home and, the time difference was my last season in Israel. So because of COVID, like COVID made it 10 times worse, right? And there was no going in and out of the country. There was no like traveling. There was nothing. And so I was in Israel for 10 months. No, less than that. It was from November to June. But I wasn't able to see anyone or go back home, and like I spent Christmas in Israel, and in Israel, like we had a game on the 24th because they don't, most of the team was Jewish. And so they had different holidays. And I think that really set me up well for this season because I mean, now, like, I know I'm going to be going home for Christmas. People can come visit me, like, it's entirely different. And I feel like I'm in a place where I'm already more familiar with the language, with the lifestyle, and it's just, like, more familiar to me. So I feel like Israel definitely set me up well for this experience. But I've also always been someone who, of course, I miss home and, of course, I want to be home. But I also, like, love traveling and love, experiencing different cultures and things like that. So I was always, like, super, like, down for it.
I think that sets us up perfectly for the next question. We had a couple of people ask us, what's it like living in Napoli? We had our friend Joseph from Calcio Fan Blogs ask, what's the difference between Italy and Canada? So tell us a bit. I know it's been what,
a lot,
a month. It's what, a month and a half that you're in Napoli, not too long. So what's it like so far?
End of July.
Okay.
This is crazy, but I actually fell in love with Italy as soon as I came here. I feel like my whole life I've wanted to play in Italy, and now that it's actually happening, it's like you can throw anything at me and it's going to be fine, Like in Israel, again, I'm bringing you back to Israel because it was such like an intense experience, but like there was a war in Israel when I was there and things didn't end well, and it was just such a different experience. Whereas now that I'm here, again, like I fell in love with the place. Like the food's amazing, everything's great. Like, of course the lifestyle is different. Whereas Italy is not as organized as Canada. You try to get, I've been trying to get a bank account for 6 weeks now, and it's still not working. And we still don't have Wi-Fi in our apartment, and all of these little things. But it's just an entirely different culture from Canada. In Canada we don't. Just an example, like the other day we tried to go get a package from the store. Someone got a delivery, and the hours were from like 8 to 10 and then like 4 to 8 at night. And because all day everything's closed all the time, and you go somewhere and like they're closed for a week and you're like, well, why? But it's just such an awesome like way of life and just a different lifestyle, and I absolutely love it. Like I can see myself being here for a while, I'm sure of it.
No, go.
I'll go. Me and Adriano, we went to Italy for a couple of weeks, December 2019. I mean, we saw that just on the first day there. We tried to get a SIM card for the phone, and we went from one store to the other, like across the street, and like just no one's serving us. It's just so calm. Everyone's just waiting there so peacefully. It was the longest I waited to get a SIM card, but that's how it is in Italy. It's and that was
exactly.
in Rome. Rome, obviously busier city. You go to these small towns in the south, forget about it. Everyone's relaxing all the time.
No, actually. And if you're someone who's stressed out and wants things done quickly, I think it might not be the place for you. But if you're coming here for like, more relaxed and just like go with it, then Italy's a good place to be.
Yeah.
Italy and, making like organization and communication like that, like it's all they need work. They definitely need work on stuff like that. But we definitely know that, and you're witnessing that live. But obviously Napoli is such a unique city, such a beautiful city. People, there's a lot of people that like to rag on the city and whatnot. Maybe dirty and it's the South, but it's really a beautiful city. If people don't know or haven't been, I definitely recommend going. So we saw that obviously Maradona had such a huge impact on the city of Napoli, especially obviously with their men's team. walking around the streets and seeing his influence. We saw you on your Instagram today. You were there. What does what does that what's the buzz like around Napoli about with Maradona? Like we know from across the pond and stuff like that, but actually living in the city and witnessing that on like a daily basis, what's that all like?
It's awesome. Like I had no idea it was going to be this intense prominent. Like I had no idea that he had left such a big impact on Napoli as a whole. You can walk anywhere and find his jersey, Argentinian flags, and even like one of my first days here, the president of the club, like we had like a showing of the team, and he was holding a Napoli shirt with Maradona in the back, and we have 3 Argentinian girls, and there's a whole hype around them and just Maradona, and just it's amazing how like this whole all of Napoli and all of the surrounding areas are so like in love, like just with Maradona and like what he's done and his impact on Napoli. And I had no idea it was going to be this intense. Of course I've heard about it, but when you get here, you're like, wow, like this is crazy. Like this is really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely all over the city, especially after he passed away last year, renaming the stadium and everything after him.
Yeah,
he has a huge influence on the team. Speaking about the team, so the Serie A Femminile started a couple of weeks ago. You guys have played 3 games. I saw you beat, was it Fiorentina this past weekend?
Yeah,
1-0 against Fiorentina. Yeah, 1-0 against Fiorentina, and One thing I noticed on social media, just following you also, you guys, it seems like you have a good camaraderie. We had a question about that from Forza Napoli podcast. I think it's Joe, right? That's Joe's podcast, right, Adrian?
Joe. Joe.
He wrote, this summer, Napoli overhauled the entire squad, yet the players... You guys have seemed to develop a close bond very quickly. Can you talk a little about that and how important that camaraderie will be to having a successful season?
Yeah, so we definitely started off the season. Like it was a tough situation. We had 4 returning players from last year. Well, we had 5 at first. Now we have 4. 1 was sent on loan. But you don't really encounter teams like this where you only have 4 returning players and everyone is from different teams, different countries, whole different environments. And so at first I would say it was tough because just on the field, like you don't know, like does this girl want the ball at her feet? Does she want it on her chest? Does she, left foot, right foot in space? You don't know any of these things. And so the club, like as soon as we got here, we went like on a 2-week retreat in the mountains in the Ribisondoli, and I think that definitely helped because we were together all the time. We practiced them. We had some scrimmages against boys and other teams, like we played Lazio and Rome. But even at the start of the season, you could tell that like we weren't clicking on the field as much as we should have, and the team is like insanely like close to each other. Like we were put in a situation also where we live right now. We have like this whole apartment building just to us. So there's like 9 apartments. So 18 of us are here, living together all the time. We're always hanging out. Like again, the girls are watching the Champions League together right now. We eat dinner together. Like we're always together. And then like we have a few younger girls. So at least they're from the Primavera, but they train with us and they come to some of our games. And so these girls know each other very well. And having these younger girls also helped a lot because they had so much energy, and they're like, some of them are 16, 17, 18 years old, and they have so much energy and just, want to mess around and want to just bring the team together. And so that really helped. I think we're still working on like some aspects, like, we have some girls who knew each other before. So obviously they're closer to the rest of it. Like they're closer together than within the rest of the team. But altogether, I would say like, I was surprised it was going to be this way because on previous teams, there's always little cliques and stuff, but I mean, it's been really great. And I think against Fiorentina, it really showed that. Like, yes, we had difficulties against the 2 first teams, but like we have to keep in mind that we have a really hard start to the season. Like we play basically all the top teams back to back to back. And so, of course, yes, we want to win. Yes, we want to perform and we want to get results. But it's also like important to keep in mind that we are a brand new team and there's so much more to figure out. And we have such a long season ahead of us. And I think that camaraderie. I can't say that word very well in English, but really showed against Fiorentina, and it's cool because now like we can like look back at that and use that to move forward.
And as a team, considering like you said, it's all new players. Crazy that only 4 returning players. Like you never hear of that in like any sport, right? As a team, did you like set yourselves goals of where you want to finish in the table by the end of the season?
So it's a tricky season, at least this year, because next year Italy is becoming will officially be considered like professional women's soccer, and so that means that I think the league goes down to 10 teams instead of 12. And so instead of having 2 teams relegated this year, 3 teams are relegated. And so it's super important. I mean, the first goal is to not get relegated. And that's the most important one. And then, of course, we want to perform. And I think we have the talent on our team, and we all see that to like finish, much higher than the bottom of the, of the standings. And so definitely, I mean, the first goal, the most important one is not to get relegated, because we want to stay in Serie A, and it's that's definitely on everyone's mind. But I really think that we see ourselves being higher up in the standings, so of course like we're pushing for that as well.
Yeah, well, we hope so for sure. It would be a shame to get relegated, but I didn't realize that and we're so invested in the Serie A, but the women's game is something that I think isn't talked about enough. So I personally didn't even know that it was going to be what you had just said about the professional down to 10 teams and all that. We have a question from our friend and follower Sean McIntosh. He covers Lazio, but he sent out a question. What support is Serie A Femminile getting to grow the women's game? What steps is the league taking to grow? If you have any take on that, you kind of mentioned a bit. If you have anything else to add, because like I said, the women's game, it has improved. There's obviously, I think, steps that need to be taken to get it to a higher level and to a more prominent level, because I think there are the talent there, and the women have something to look up to, in terms of leagues, locally, abroad, and I think it's important. But if you have any other take on what Serie A Femminile is doing to grow the game, please share.
So one of the main things that I learned about this year coming in was that there's this a player association that's been going on for the last couple of years, and one of the people in charge of this was she used to play for Inter Milan. She was a goalkeeper for the national team, and she just retired, and now she came and talked to all the teams. And I think that's really important to have, because in a lot of, I'm not sure how much you know about women's soccer, but I have a lot of friends who play all over Europe, and things that happen in different leagues, like even in top leagues like France and, in Spain, you hear all of these things that happen to the women, and you're like, but how is this possible for, us to be professional players and this to happen? People not getting paid, people getting injured and being sent home, and, being just dropped, where they have a contract. They're supposed to be paid until the end of the season. They're supposed to get surgery and get treatment, and living situations, and just all of these weird things happening in the women's game. And so this association ensures basically that the players have these rights. Like, for instance, I know when COVID hit, the league got canceled, and so some teams didn't pay their players, but they're supposed to pay their players even though COVID happened and all that. And so this player association made sure that these girls were getting the money and were getting these resources. And I know that they're helping girls, let's say, get their diplomas, or do school at the same time, and make sure that if someone gets injured, they get the right treatment and they get everything that they need. So I think this is a really huge step. Just to have that in your back pocket. If something happens, at least you have this player association that is going to support you and help you get to where you need to be and have the resources you need. I also know that the national team really wants their players to stay in Italy so that they can continue to build the league, because if all their players leave, then your best players are leaving, and so you're not really building the team, the league, I mean. So that's also a huge step right now. Most of the talent players on the national team are all playing in Italy, and so you really see this this high level of play and these elite players all over the country, which is huge. And so I think if you compare it now to what it was before, there's already so much progress. And even with the national team, if you look at the women's national team back like a few years ago, they weren't getting the funding, they were getting the resources that the men at least were getting. But now, like, you can see that now that it's evolving, like, they're doing so much better. And this is why I was so excited to be in Italy, because you can tell that this league is only going to go up from here. And that's exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you know, I guess from my own perspective, like just on social media, I see how the clubs promote, you know, their women's teams a lot more. You know, I'm a Juve fan, and I personally think they do a great job of that. Obviously, they've won, I think it's 4 straight Scudetti now. So, you know, they have that, I guess they have that power to promote, and most of the players are on the national team. But, you know, I think here in Canada, too, there was a lot of discussion about that, because obviously there's no league yet here in Canada.
Yeah.
You know, considering we just won gold in the Olympics, and that became a big topic. But at least, you know, in Italy, they're doing it right. They have, you know, the professional league starting next season, as you said. But got a question on Twitter from wsoccer.ca. What advice would you give to a young Canadian player hoping to play pro for an historic club like Napoli?
Honestly, I always go with like what got me here, and it's just like hard work and perseverance. Like, I put my mind to it, and like, you know, so many people, even like in high school and stuff, were telling me like, oh, like, you're not going to be able to go to college in the US. Like, you should look for a school in Canada. And, you know, even once you're in the US, it's like, well, it's really hard everyone's telling you how hard it is to find a contract and do well. And it's like, yeah, so what? Like, if you really put your mind to it, and like, you know, you put means in your own hands, and you really try, like, anything can work out. And it's like super important to like keep that in mind. Like, it's not because someone tells you like, oh, it's going to be hard, it's not going to work out. Or even if an agent can't find you a team, like, there are so many agents out there. There are so many people willing to help you. I think you just really have to be like determined to actually put the work in. Like, it's not going to be easy, you know, like, obviously my first choice wasn't to go to Israel last year, but that's what happened. And I made the best of it. And like, it got me to where I am now. And so I think just being patient, working hard, just honestly not taking no for an answer, which is such a cliche, but it's so true.
No, yeah, and you have to be hungry, right? Like, you know, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but you made the big jump, you know, and it's just the truth. And on top of it, you're a goalkeeper. There's only limited, you know, spots on teams for keepers. You know,
just the one.
If you're the first keeper, just the one. You know, I know they carry more than just one keeper. You'll definitely get your minutes here. You know, few and far between if you're not the starter. But, you know, it's a lot more of that, you know, internal hunger, internal fire to really push hard. And from what you've explained to us here today, you have done that. And I think that's just a credit to you as a person, to you as an athlete, and to you as a professional. Just in terms of, I was just curious in terms, because I don't think we have any more soccer-related questions through social media. But you know, your training schedule, like, what's that like? How's your training? Is it you guys go every day? What's your routine? You know, we're speaking to a professional Calcio player, guys, and this is for us crazy. So an inside look at Napoli Femminile training 101 with Kelly Chiavaro.
Yeah, honestly, it's pretty intense. I'm not gonna lie. We're still trying to adjust and get through the week, but typically, let's say I'll tell you, like, if we play on a Sunday, for instance, or Saturday, I guess. So we've been playing mostly Saturdays. This week was our first Sunday. And so if we play on Saturday, for instance, we'll have a recovery session on Sunday, and the players who haven't played are going to train, and the others are going to do some type of running and, you know, stretching and stuff. And then we'll typically have off Monday, sometimes Tuesday, but mostly only Mondays. And then we'll go 2 a day on Tuesday, 2 a day on Wednesday, 1 a day Thursday, 1 a day Friday, and then game again Saturday. And so we typically have 2 or 3 days as 2 a days every week. And all of this obviously isn't including, you know, film session and meetings we have a sports psychologist that we meet. And, you know, we also have Italian lessons for the girls who don't speak Italian. And so I'd say 90% of my time is spent at the field. You know, we don't do much other than, you know, sleep, eat, and train. But I actually, like, this is what I was, you know, waiting for and looking for in my career. So we definitely train a lot, but I'm not complaining.
No, you can't. You can't, Kelly. You made it to this level. Now you're honed in.
Exactly.
You can't complain. If you were a complainer, you wouldn't be where you were today. So, in terms of that's crazy. I mean, the training. I figured it would be heavy. I didn't realize it would be to that level. But again, we're talking at a professional level now. So it's the stakes are higher. But if we step away from the field a bit, we got a question from Lauro Napoli, small boutique here in Little Italy, Montreal. I have a two-part question because I'm going to ask their question. I'm going to throw in my question as well. Obviously in Napoli, or just in Italy generally, everybody knows that's going to listen to this. The food is off the charts, fantastic. I personally think the best cuisine in the world. But we might be a bit biased on this show. So what's your go-to Napolitan food that you would choose, and have you picked up any Napolitan dialect, because it's a unique dialect. It's a dialect that's close to home for some of us here. So it's a two-part question. So the food and the language, have you picked up any?
So I have to say, yes, the food in Italy is definitely amazing. I feel like just the quality of the food here is much better than what we can find in the US and in Canada. It just feels more fresh, feels better. And if I had to pick one food, honestly, the pizza in Napoli is unreal. And we haven't had, that much opportunity to go out and eat places, but like we've had pizza a few times, and whenever we have to pick a place, we usually go for pizza because it is so good. And I mean, it's nothing like I'll eat at home or like in previous countries that I've traveled to. So I would definitely say in Napoli, I would go for the pizza. And then
in terms of the language.
So this is kind of, I guess, strange. So my family's from Campobasso, and so I grew up, like, my grandmother only speaks Italian, and so she always had a very, very strong dialect. Like, I don't think anyone from here would actually understand her, or anyone who speaks, the real Italian, they say. So I feel like I understand some of the, Napolitan dialect, and we have the Primavera girls who speak. They're from here, like that's all they know. And so sometimes they speak and the girls are like, what are you saying? But so I feel like I can catch on to it, but I'm definitely not using it yet. No.
And just even an add-on to that, Kelly, because you're a goalie, so there's a lot of communication that's involved, right? How important, I know obviously this is all brand new. This is a whole new journey for you. You said you got there end of July, so there's a lot of adjustment period. But being a keeper and having to be vocal, and the communication to be on point, in terms of if it's training, if it's games, how important is it for you to maybe pick up keywords and stuff to get comfortable being in your own position?
So I'd say I came into Italy understanding almost everything. I didn't have the chance to practice my Italian before coming here, but now I can confidently say that I speak very well and I understand absolutely everything. I am lucky in the sense that one of our center backs is from France, and I mean I speak French at home, and so that's a huge advantage for me because I'm basically the only one on the team who can communicate well with her. We also have an American who obviously speaks English, and then very surprisingly, so we have these 2 girls from Spain and 3 girls from Argentina. And so I've also been picking up some Spanish, which I was not expecting at all, but I understand most of it. I can't speak Spanish, of course, because I'm learning too many languages now. But I feel like it's honestly, it's definitely important to communicate. And I feel like it's been going really well. Of course, it's only going to get better from now. And one of the first things, I said earlier, we have Italian lessons every week. When we were in preseason, it was 3 times a week. Now it's down to 1. But, one of the first things we did, it was to know all of the things we need to say on the field. And, if we get an injury when we're speaking to the team doctor and the team trainer is how do you, because the girls were I hurt my shin, and, the doctors had no idea what we were saying at first. And so one of the first things that we did was really learn all the terms, on the field, what we need to say. And we asked all the questions. And so, the girls who don't speak any Italian know the only terms from the field. So it's kind of cool to see how it's working really well.
Awesome.
It's interesting because, you say, so you speak Italian, French, English, pick up a bit of Spanish. I say that, I always say people from Montreal, well, at least Italian Montrealers, we have that advantage where we know French, we know Italian, other Latin languages. It's easy to pick up like Spanish, and it's just an advantage knowing different languages, especially when you're basically, you go abroad to play professional soccer. So that's really cool to hear. And just one last question, Kelly. So I saw on Twitter when Napoli signed you, there was an account that posted a picture of you celebrating in Little Italy with the Italian flag when we won the Euros. So what's that like for you to you get to celebrate the Euro victory here in Montreal, and then you actually go to Italy pretty much the same month? I mean, at that point, did you know you're gonna go? Like what was the process like and everything?
The whole summer was crazy. I mean, I obviously, having an agent, like I don't do any of the communication, and so I am waiting the whole time for my agent to give me news and give me, who's interested, who made an offer, and obviously he asked where I want to be, and so I actually found out about Napoli while I was at the gym. I thought I knew there was interest. I knew they were, negotiating in communication, and there was he told me oh, you'll know by this time, and I didn't know, and so I figured it wasn't going to work out, and I was super bummed about it, obviously, because it was the second year that there had been talks of me coming here, and it was always a club that I was super interested in going to, and so I decided to go to the gym, and I guess he just sent me the email or the information 3 hours too late because I was convinced I wasn't coming. But so I found out while I was at the gym, they made an offer, are you interested in going to Napoli? And then just a couple weeks later, it was all in the same month. It all happened in the month of July. So a couple weeks, later, there was the Euros, and most of my friends, at least a lot of my friends in Montreal are Italian as well. And so we're we need to go to Little Italy. It's going to be packed, but we won't find anywhere to go, but this is where we need to be. And it was sweet that it was, in the same timing, because it was my dream my whole life to come to Italy. And at the same time, Italy winning the Euros, it was just so magical. It still feels surreal to me, how everything played out. It was just crazy. It's still overwhelming when I think about it. It was just such a happy summer.
I mean, guys, we've been saying it time and time again through this interview. The dream. It's just simply the dream, and this is another instance where we now know it definitely was un'estate italiana, just by Kelly's words right there. If before we wrap it up, if we want to just quickly shift away from the Italy and speak maybe a bit about Canada, because you have both representation. Canada winning the gold at the Olympics.
I think we lost
how
Kelly.
big is? Oh, there goes the Nabuadan Wi-Fi right there. Yeah, so for for Canada winning the Olympics, obviously that's that winning gold at the Olympics. Sorry, that was definitely huge. For Canadian soccer, they've gotten close in the past, and obviously it took an Italian to win it there at the end with the goal di Grosso, Giulia Grosso. So shout out to her. But in terms of obviously we spoke about the men winning the Euros in the summer for the Italian national team. If we, like I said, if we switch over to the Canadian women winning gold, how big is that for growing the women's game, not only abroad but here locally and here in Canada. What were your thoughts about that whole run?
I think the situation in Canada is super upsetting, honestly, being from Canada, growing up in the system, at the National Training Center and all of that, having so many friends who played on the national team and who still play on the national team. To me, at least, it makes, and I guess to me and to everyone else, it makes absolutely no sense that even back when, there was a Women's World Cup, Canada finished, in the top 10, top 8, and we were the only team in this top 10 that didn't have a professional league. Now, again, you look back at the Olympics, and how is it that a team who wins the Olympics doesn't have a professional league? And, people have been fighting for this for so many years. And, when I come back to the summer, I train for the semi-pro team in Blainville, and there are so many quality players all over the country. And it's just, it's just such a setback for, just women's soccer as a whole that there hasn't been a league. And I feel like so many people and players have said something and nothing has been done about it. And it's like, what, like, did we really need to win the Olympics for for something to happen? Like, is that really what it took? And so I'm sure, like, yes, there's going to be more funding and there's going to be more resources for women's soccer players in Canada, but it's just so upsetting that it took this long, even though Canada has done so well at the international level. And it's just such a hard, topic for a lot of Canadian players, because a lot of girls fall through the system and, stop playing and, I don't know, get injuries, and they want to be close to home, and all they have really is the NWSL. And even just to say, some people were talking about the NWSL adding, a couple teams in Canada, but like, that's not enough, because then you really still limit the pool of players that are able to play professionally in Canada. Like, you need a league, and we have the potential. It's just, we need the resources and the funding, and it's just, hopefully, like, it comes soon, but it's a little late.
Well said.
So definitely mixed emotions there on such a big triumph, but there's definitely some things that, again, that you brought to light that, maybe just the average person doesn't realize, about, the women's game, and just, the state of it, and the progression of it, and where the future lies with it. So, I think definitely, proud to be Canadian at that point. It's definitely a big thing, but at the same time, I'm glad you brought up, the points that you did, because, like I said, it looks all fine and dandy, on Instagram and on social media, and on TV. But if you don't know what's really going on behind the scenes, which now we're lucky enough to say that we kind of get a bit more of a glimpse, speaking to you, it's definitely an eye-opening, thing, with the women's game.
I mean, even just looking back at, like, Sinclair, for example, Sinclair and all of these older players, like, Sinclair has scored the most international goals, like, of any player, really. And, you're thinking Sinclair is coming to an age where she's likely to retire, sometime soon. And all of these really, like, these older players who have, like, made the biggest change for women's soccer in Canada. And you're thinking these players won't even get the opportunity to play in a professional league in their own country, like a country they have fought for their whole life. Like, they always have had to play somewhere else. They never had the opportunity to play in their own country. And I feel like that's, a ridiculous kind of thing. Just, it's upsetting. And I can't imagine how they feel. They, like, built the team and, built the program, and they can't even represent it entirely in their country.
Yeah. Well,
it's very well said.
Well said. I think, that's what a couple of players were asking for. They win gold medal, and then a couple of them, like Steph Labbe, she gets on Twitter like, hey, where's our league? Let's start this. We got the attention now. Let's get this going. So. And
she tried to play. I don't know if you guys know about this, but she tried to play on a men's team in Canada, and it basically didn't end up working out. So she was playing in the NWSL or in Europe, I'm not sure. And she went back. I'm pretty sure she was in Alberta, and she tried to play in the men's league, and it didn't end up working out. And so she had to go back to playing in the women's league. And she really tried to, like, make that step and look for equality in women's sports. But she did her best, and it didn't end up working out, so she had to go back to the women's leagues.
Yeah, I think she just signed with PSG, actually. So it seems like PSG is just signing everybody this summer.
Yeah, they know she just played her first game.
I saw that. It was good for her. That definitely deserved, I think.
Yeah.
And I think you stressed Kelly. I think you stressed a big point. In terms of equality, in sports. It's unfortunate that we're in the year 2021. And I think it's a far stretch to say that things are going to be level, for between men and women in terms of sports. I mean, it's gotten to a point where it's such a landslide that it's so hard to recuperate from. Yeah. But I think we're all hopeful that the women's game does continue to grow in certain cases here in North America. You're in Europe, so it's a different landscape, and it's a different atmosphere out there, and just a different mentality. I would think, at least, if we speak just on the sport itself, soccer, cultural, football, whatever you want to call it. In North America, it's one thing. In Europe, if it's Italy, Spain, England, Germany, it's a way of life, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a total different thing. I guess I would rather, end on a positive note. This fantastic interview that we've had with you, Kelly. What does the future hold Kelly Chiavaro in terms of your career. You're definitely still young. You still got, I think, a lot in the tank. There's I hope so. I hope a lot in the tank.
No, definitely.
Obviously, this journey with Napoli, I don't know how long it's going to last, or how long you want it to last. But what does the future hold for yourself as a player at the highest of levels?
Yeah, it's my first season playing in Italy and playing in like one of the best leagues in the world, and so I mean, the options are endless, honestly. Like, the opportunities are endless. I have so much. I know I have all the potential. It's amazing being able to come here and, like, I haven't played the first 3 games. And, I mean, was like coming in here a first time in Europe expecting to be a start on the team. I would say no. I came here wanting to improve, and I feel like I'm improving so much. I have such a great staff and such great teammates. And so it's awesome to know and see for myself that, like, I have the potential to, I can perform here. Like, this is where, like, my talent is good enough, and, like, my work ethic is good enough for this level. And so it's super encouraging because, I can do so many more things. Yes, I can stay for Napoli, depending on how things go and, me or what they offer as well. But there are so many different teams and so many different leagues in Europe that are going to give me the opportunity to move up and keep moving up. And I mean, the end goal for me ultimately is I'm making a career out of it, but I want to make this an actual career. Like, I want to, do this for most of my life until I'm physically unable to do it anymore. But I would say my biggest objective, moving forward and from now on, it's getting playing time, because what player doesn't want to play, but definitely getting, a call for the national team, for the Italian national team. Like, I'm here, like, they're going to see me, and I really want to get that opportunity. So, like, that's definitely the goal for me right now.
Yo, that's, again, guys, this is the dream, man. I swear to God, guys, anybody listening to this interview, like, she's just nailing, point after point after point. Like, this is definitely the dream. Playing for the Italian national team. I think any Montreal or just, person with Italian roots, if it's Montreal, Toronto, New York, wherever you are in North America, that's the dream, right? So again, Kelly, it's definitely possible, and we're very hopeful for the rest of your career, for your future. Definitely proud again to say that you come from Montreal with the Italian roots as well. For us, we're definitely in your corner, and we just can't thank you enough for taking the time. Out of your night, out of your day, out of your time, just to be accessible to us, just to come here and speak to us on our show. It means the world. I think maybe you paved the way for maybe potentially future players maybe to come on. I don't know, but
that'd be really cool.
I mean, listen, we'll always know that you were the first. So again, from us two here and our other co-host Johnny, who couldn't make it tonight. It just honestly a big thank you, and best of luck. Anything you want to plug, if it's your socials, if it's the team social, anything you wanna air out before we let you go, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you so much for having me. Like, this is my first podcast, and it's been really cool, and I absolutely appreciate it. Like, thanks for reaching out and just taking the time as well. It was cool to talk about these things, especially with Italians. Very different. So, we can connect on a lot. I mean, definitely, if you want to follow my Instagram, Kelly Chiavaro _, that'd be huge. Napoli also, or Napoli, it's Napoli Femminile. They're, working really hard to get that check mark. So if anything can help doing that, that'd be huge. So again, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks you for coming on. I mean, absolute pleasure to talk to you. Like I said, get that other insight from a player. Just, it's nice. It's nice to hear that stuff. How much goes on behind the scenes too. Like you were saying, the Italian lessons, the sports psychologist, all the training, as fans, we turn on the TV Sunday at 2:45 whenever our team plays, and we watch for 2 hours, and that's it. We'll do a podcast, and that's it. But you as players, you're plugged in all week. It's incredible.
No, it's like Nick said, I think it's huge, and I think now we know, if we ever need some insight for the for Napoli or anything, I think you're our girl now, and
you know how to find me.
I definitely know where to find you, and likewise with us, and we hope to keep in touch, and we hope to maybe talk again soon at some other point in your career. And again, Kelly, it's a huge honor, and it's honestly a big thanks from the three of us here at the Calcio, guys.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Kelly. Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Into the middle. Faraone! It's a goal out of this world.
Apparently, coaching changes do have an effect for Verona. Davide Ferroni scored a big goal today against Roma. We won't talk about that just now. Calcio guys, Adriano Donardo, Gianni Delacoli, Nicholas Di Giovanni. So, we just heard Kelly Chiavaro talk about her time, her early season so far with Napoli Femminile. Catching up. A couple days later, we're recording the second part of the episode. A couple days later, talk about Serie A matchday 4. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. It's been, like we said on Wednesday, it's been a busy week for us here at the Calcio guys. 2 interviews in one day, breaking down episodes one day on Wednesday, one on today, which is Sunday. It's been busy times, but it's good to be busy and it's good to talk about Calcio. So definitely happy.
Milan coming in today, 1-1 draw against relegation side Juventus. Pretty disappointing, I think, for Milan.
How dare they only got 1 point versus the relegation team? They
exactly. And then those fans are making fun of the relegation team afterwards. Like if you're mocking a team you just tied to, you're down and out. You already lost the count. It's already knockout. You don't make fun of a team you drew. You can make fun of a team you beat. Definitely not lost to. You can't make fun of a team
You know what's funny? The Juventini have gotten so low that they're just scraping for any sort of crumbs that they can pick up, any sort of little, gratings of anything that they can pick up. They're so low. They're so low. They're so low. They're gasping for air. Gasping for air, guys.
So basically,
punches being thrown left and right.
so basically, Milan from 2011 until the present.
Wow.
And Juve in Champions League since their history started.
Oh well. But kind of a weird game. Like, I don't know, talent-wise, like game-wise, I would have hoped for something better. It was okay. Like, I think, like, the first half was...
the Anton Rebic show.
Man. He scored 1 goal off a corner that Rabiot forgot to mark him.
Got an assist, too.
No.
I think he got an assist.
He scored. It was 1-1.
No, I know he scored, but I think he also got an assist, too, no?
No, he scored.
To 1-1. To who? Himself.
Oh.
You're thinking of the Liverpool game.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
But Nick, jokes aside, jabs aside, what'd you think of the game?
It was okay. The overall game was okay. I think Juve played their best half in the first half and then lost it in the second. I think that's gonna be a theme for them this year. We saw it against Udinese. We saw it against Napoli. We see it against Milan. Especially against Napoli and Milan. Morata comes out and scores pretty much 10 minutes in against Napoli, and then 4 minutes in against Milan. And then I think that's the problem. Like, maybe he should wait till 10 minutes into the second half or something, because we know Allegri's style. As soon as they go up 1-0, it's stop, attack, and defend, and that's pretty much what they did today. They had a couple of chances in the first half. They had nice little passing with the midfield, but once everyone got tired in the second half, it was over. And then questionable changes. Chiesa comes on, but not in an attacking role. Takes off Dybala for Kulusevski. Morata gets hurt, unfortunately, and it might be a bit of a serious injury, what I was reading on Twitter. Serious cup. I don't know. What I understood was that there was a rupture of some sort, but we'll see. We'll wait and see. I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised, honestly. That's just the tale of the season, right, for Juventus so far. What's it gonna take to fix it? No clue, honestly. Maybe people are saying, yeah, the win against Malmo could fix it. Yeah, sure, they tied Milan in a way that is a bit positive, but not where you are in the standings right now. Maybe if it was if Juve had beaten Udinese and beaten Empoli and they come into this and tie, it's not a big deal. But because it's 4 games now, no wins, there's something that needs to be fixed. I don't know what, because you can't be fire this guy, get rid of this guy. You can't be reactionary like that. You know that this is. You saw this in the past 2 years with Sadi and Pirlo, what reactionary does, and it got you in this position. So we'll see. Game against Spezia on Wednesday. You know, again, it should be a win for Juve, but you never know. At least the black and white team will win that one.
Yeah, exactly. I think you obviously said it right when obviously Juve came out of the gates early. They looked their best in the first half, and again, this is a typical game in Serie A, which is where it ends up being a tale of two halves. And in this case, each team had their half, and it showed. Juve obviously dominated in the first half. They got their early goal, which again, a counterattack goal off of a Milan corner, which is terrible way to concede for Milan. That doesn't happen. Maybe it's a different result at the end of it. Who knows? But again, kudos to I believe was it Dybala who made the pass to Morata. I believe it was Dybala who made the pass. And again, that just heads up play. Juve are good on the counter, especially under Allegri. So, it was just a bit concerning that it got that open. And, obviously Theo on his heels, didn't foul him. I think was a smart thing to do. Didn't want to pick up a card, which I think would have definitely happened if he did foul him from behind like that. Unlucky for Magnan, but again, it's for me, it was the reaction of Milan that was the positive in this game. It would have been nice to get all 3 points at a time where we see Juve at a dark time in their opening season. Again, I'll take the draw. It could have went either way, I think. Obviously, at the end of the game, it looked like it was all Milan, which it was. Of course, Szczesny makes that one save that he needs to maybe, save him for another week, I guess, on the Kalulu play there, which I think should have been a goal. But again, it was a tale of two halves. I think each team, obviously had their half to merit the point. So I guess the 1-1 draw is fair, as fair as you want to say it is. But I don't know. Like I said, like the reaction. Rebic, these past 2 games from Champions League to today's game, these are 2 big games against 2 big opponents on 2 big stages, and he delivered. So it was huge because it wasn't a secret, but Milan was at a loss of 6 starters. So again, no excuse. We saw the Juve Napoli last week and how that happened and how that game panned out. Juve still had to go out there and play the game, even though they didn't have most of their starters. Again, it's not an excuse. It's a bit of a shame because, like we always say with Juve Napoli, which we haven't seen almost, full health against full health or full lineup versus full lineup. It would have been nice to see this game today, like Nick mentioned. Maybe a bit more, big guns against big guns. I think you kind of can compare yourself, go toe to toe with the best players on the pitch. So. A bit unfortunate, but again, happy with the point. Milan still in the top of the table. I believe they're tied with Inter now. Obviously, Napoli plays tomorrow, so we'll see how that game goes. But again, with Roma losing today, Napoli's result against a team like Udinese that can maybe surprise. We never know. We'll see how the weekend finishes off. But I don't know. Tonali again, great game. The defense a little weird, seeing Tomori as right back. I just hope that Kair's injury is not anything serious because he's been a rock in the back, so it would be a bit of unfortunate for him. And again, we just got to get fully healthy. We have to see Ibra, Giroud, guys that are missing, Bakayoko, other players. But again, stars of the game for me, I guess it would be Rebic. Brahim looked, again, he's been classed as these opening 4 weeks, and including the Champions League match. Leao was okay, and Tonali for sure was a big piece as well. So again, I think, like I said, tale of 2 halves. Each team, I guess, deserves to a certain extent a point, and that's how it finished.
I need Kair to be healthy soon because I need him for my Fanta Calcio. So please, hopefully it's nothing serious. And Morata, 3 goals in the last 3, actually, too. That's something that I think should be said. He's been a little bit on fire lately.
Well, the one bright spot, I guess, for a team that's been kind of dark. So,
and for some reason, like people just keep hating on him for like absolutely no reason. It makes no sense. But yeah.
And was Chiesa? Sorry to cut you off, Nick. Was Chiesa fully healthy today? Because I know he came in late, but and I was shocked that I didn't see him in the starting lineup. But I didn't know, was he still nagging his injury, or because I didn't read anything.
I'm sure he was. I'm sure if he was 100% healthy, they would have started him. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe he was like 98, 99%, you know, because he's coming back from an injury. But you see that all the time, right? Players coming back from injuries, they'll maybe, come off a game off the bench before starting, right? So, and I'm expecting him to see in the starting lineup against Spezia. Gianni, Roma lose to Verona. I don't know if you saw that game at all, but it was like someone turned on the showers at the Bentegodi in Verona. It was pouring, like it's so hard to watch at that point. You know the joke, like rainy night in Stoke, it has to turn into rainy night in Verona. Messi's great, but can he score a back heel like Pellegrini on a rainy night in Verona?
No, that was beautiful. I did honestly, I was just trying to figure out like how do you manage in the rain to actually get that through and actually get a touch like that on it, because especially for if anybody ever gets an opportunity to watch the replay, it's pouring, like it's really heavy. I'm just there like, okay, if they're playing on turf or something, somebody could just easily slip, and Pellegrini managed to get a difficult touch like that on it, especially with a wet ball and like cleats and everything, perfectly placed in the bottom left corner. I am surprised Korsdorp actually got that through, but then because not only was there rain, the floodgates just opened up in Verona. You know, the second half started, and just in a flash, Roma goes down 2-1, and I'm just there like, oh, this is what it feels like to actually be losing. What's going on here? You know, and to be fair, I expected this to happen to Roma at one point. You can't be perfect forever. And not because
we said it last week. We said it. Sorry, the other day. Never mind. Yeah, last week we said it the other day.
Last show, basically. Yeah. We said it in the last show. We're like, I want to see how Roma's gonna do when they're put in a losing situation or in a tough spot. And 4 minutes later, after conceding the second goal, they managed to score, and even though it was an own goal, but so they have some fight in them, which I was really happy to see. But then Faroni takes a shot that. I'm in a Lupo di Roma's group chat for on Twitter, and like I forgot who said it, but it was the perfect comment. Faroni scored a goal that if he took another 100 times, he's missing it every single time. It was a beautiful goal though, like right off the volley, like perfectly touched. Didn't even have a chance to touch the ground yet. He just laced it, and Rui Patricio still tried his best to stretch out and save it, but couldn't. Unfortunately, I think Mancini was probably the one player that really had a terrible, I don't want to be too harsh and say terrible, but like a really bad performance. The first two goals were on him. He was caught sleeping on both. So I feel like as if maybe for him, you could probably be like, okay, like he is probably going to be in the lineup for Italy. So hopefully he takes the game like this. And takes lessons from it. I'm not saying he's going to be the immediate starter, but maybe a few years down the line, like Bonucci, Chiellini aren't getting any younger, so we'll see from there. But it is a tough loss to swallow, but I don't want to say necessary. I guess maybe necessary is a good word, but I feel like people are going to lash at me for saying necessary. But it is something to kind of like keep them grounded. Like, okay, we're on a big high now. Now we took a very big loss. It's so far like it's something that like, okay, let's just get calm a bit. I mean, Mourinho knows in his mind, and he said it many times. He's like I don't want anybody to get like super excited yet. He's like, my goal is not to win the league. My goal is to get this team to champions, or something along the lines like that. So even Mourinho himself is telling people to temper expectations. It's just because we haven't seen a strong start for Roma like this in a very long time. You know, like Verona-Roma last year at the start of the season, we had the Diawara situation. So Verona-Roma this year, we actually had a decent game, and Verona fully deserved the result. Props to them. But this is the type of game where it's like, okay, where do we make our mistakes? Okay, that's where they happen. Let's learn from them. Let's move on.
Adriano. So we saw this was Igor Tudor's first game for Verona. So they fired Di Francesco. Tudor comes in at the same time. Sunday at 12 o'clock, this game was. At the same time, in Rome, Lazio's playing Cagliari. And then Walter Mazzarri comes in for Cagliari as new coach after they fired, oh my God.
Semplici.
I thought it was Semplici, but then I thought he was with Samp. Yeah, no, but that's D'Aversa with Samp.
No, D'Aversa, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I drew a blank there. But I don't know, like, positive results for both the new coaches, but that's the thing. Like, I've read when a team fires a coach, especially like a mid-table or relegation team, when they fire a coach mid-season, they'll often like have these good results a couple of weeks and then go back to what they were. So for either team, I don't think they could get too excited. Maybe Verona has a bit more upside. I mean, Di Francesco, he's just a fire hazard, man. Like don't let him anywhere near your Serie A team. So like I have more hope for Verona, like Cagliari, like they're a 15 to 15, a 12 to 16th place team. They're not going to do anything special.
Yeah, you know what? I was a bit surprised by the result. I thought Lazio at home was going to be able to have enough to take it. Obviously, not having Sarri on the touchline, I don't know if it had an impact on the team or not, but he was definitely up in the tribunas, stress smoking as he usually does. So, but again, I thought I was a bit surprised, like I said, with Cagliari. Obviously, with Mazzarri, we've seen him in Serie A before. We know what he's all about. So, it's good on Cagliari because it's another team that again doesn't get a lot of airtime, doesn't get a lot of praise. But again, they stole some points against a top team like Lazio. Obviously, going up 2-1, and if it wasn't for that Cataldi, and again, kudos to Cataldi on his wonder goal and like a super strike outside. I think it was just outside the box or just inside the 18-yard box that he just rifled the top corner, and no goalie in the world is saving that. And he put some life with about like 7-8 minutes left to go in the game. So. I thought it was going to be enough for maybe them to get a third late. It unfortunately wasn't for Lazio, and they go now 2 games without picking up maximum points. It's a bit concerning because everybody was so high again on Lazio to open the campaign, open the season. But again, kudos to Cagliari. These, like we always say it, these middle table teams, bottom table teams, they're gonna fight, they're gonna claw, and they're gonna wear you down. Again, it was one of those games where I think Lazio should have picked up the points at home, dominated the game in terms of possession, shots and all that. I think they really should have picked up the points. But again, we've seen this time and time before in Serie A that it's those teams that don't have a lot of the ball, make the best on the opportunities that they do get, and they capitalize, and they'll steal some points from you. So. That was the unfortunate thing about Lazio, but again, I think they'll definitely rebound. Again, they won't see Sarri on the touchline, I believe, next week either, unless that got reversed. I didn't see, but it's a bit concerning. I think Lazio fans, they would expect their team to pick up points against these types of teams. Immobile again on the board with another goal. I don't know. It's unfortunate, but I think Lazio will be back next week.
Looking at other Serie A scores, a lot of kind of mid-table teams picked up wins this weekend. 3-0, 1-0 over Sassuolo. Fiorentina 2-1 over Genoa. They're in 5th. Fiorentina. Atalanta not mid-table, 1-0 over Salernitana. Inter looks, exactly what you expect from a defending champion. 6-1 over Bologna. Samp 3-0 Empoli. Spezia picked up a late win in Venezia at the first game in Venezia. And that that's it from the pretty much Saturday and Sunday games. But we have midweek games coming up this week, and I think that's really where these mid-table teams it's really a test, right? Because they don't have the depth. One team that I'm not looking forward to, but one team you could look at is like a team like Inter, right? Inzaghi. Look at his past few years at Lazio. He always had problems with depth. They always pretty much the pandemic really hurt them, because the amount of games they played, Lazio, and then he goes to a team like Inter, so much depth that they have. He's going to love these games now. He's going to love the squad rotation.
Yeah, we got to see what he does with it, though. Again, I think Inzaghi's a good coach. We've seen him do good things at Lazio. Never maybe getting the big one in terms of really pushing for a Scudetto or things like that. Obviously with the other trophies, Coppa Italia, whatever, it was big. But again, a bit more of selection at his disposal in terms of players, like you said, Nick. In certain positions, maybe an upgrade as well. So we'll see. But again, Inter is another team. It's they score 6 against Bologna, but then they can go next week and do whatever. But that's what it is. It's with any of these teams, especially these midweeks now. Especially now and then they're in another competition. They're in Champions League. They grinded out a game against Ancelotti's Real Madrid, lost the game at home. They came out with a bang against Bologna, but again, they're playing a lot of calcio. So Johnny, I don't know how you see it with Inter in terms of their squad rotation. Obviously, they're getting the results. They're top of the table, tied with Milan, from what I saw. So, and again, Dumfries, Di Marco, their wing backs are looking good, and their defense as well. So, it's tough.
So far, it's been working out for them. The additions that they added are clicking, and I believe it was Dumfries who had himself a hell of a game this time around. I just think it was more of a meltdown on Bologna's side for this game rather than Inter being let's say outworldly or top class in terms of its in terms of their performance. Not saying that they don't have the team to do it. I'm not saying that they're an average team. But you brought up a great point. That's after a while, if you're going to be playing multiple competitions, is this where your depth is actually going to shine, or is it going to disappoint you when you need them to be there for you? So for now, they should enjoy and relish every victory that they get, which I believe they are. But things need to be kept in perspective, because I think the 6-1 win is not a testament of how strong Inter is. I just think it's more okay, Bologna really, really messed up. So they'll take the 6 goals. Let's see what happens next week for them, or next game day for them, essentially.
And again, I'm not taking anything away from Inter, because obviously they are a good squad. Nick mentioned it. Defending Serie A champions, winning the Scudetto last year. Not taking anything away from their performance. They are a good team. They have great quality players. I guess it's just the craziness in Serie A. They go draw Sampdoria in a game where they had their goals were fantastic. Barella looked great, and Di Marco, whatever. But again, collapsed a bit. Their way of playing the game was a bit off. The way they took the field, the mentality down the stretch. So again, great. Not taking anything away from their performances. Did they catch Bologna on a bad day? Maybe. So it made them look even better. That's possible. But again, I don't want anybody thinking that we're taking away from what Inter's doing. I don't think many people thought they would be doing as well as they'd be doing with the players that they have lost. But again, the players that they have brought in, keeping hold of guys on their squad as well, not breaking up that defense. Di Marco and Dumfries shining. My only concern is still Handanovic. I know he's still there, but I don't know. I think they could have solved that issue maybe this summer, but again, we'll see. But again, Inter top of the table. They have to be happy for now. And again, like Johnny said, we'll see what happens next week.
All right, let's do our cards and MVPs. Not gonna lie to you guys, I really don't have a card. Honestly, there was nothing wrong with this week, right? Normally when we do our recording, in the middle of the week, I'll have time to watch the highlights, all 10 games. Didn't really have time to do that. I watched some of the game. Followed the games today, not so much yesterday. So I think I'm gonna have to go to VAR and rescind any card that I have. I don't know about you guys. If you have something.
Go, Ja, if you have.
Walter Mazzatti's return, getting a yellow. I think that's a yellow for me.
Yo, you see him boot the ball. I was like, yo, typical Mazzatti.
So you want to give another yellow to that? Then that's fine.
This is definitely going to be another
I
yellow.
found it hilarious. I'm like, yeah, of course. But that for me is going to get my yellow card of the week.
Adri?
Well, I mean, like you said, Nick, it is kind of tough. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of it like much. If we're gonna go back how we started the show, I would say Milan's first half would be my one downer. Obviously, I'm going with a bit of the homer pick in terms of my team, but it just to concede a goal the way they did is a bit of a shame. And just their I don't know how they took the field to open the first half of this huge game was a bit concerning. Again, conceded so early. But besides that, I mean, obviously maybe you can give it to Lazio, like I said, squandering points. Roma maybe not picking up maximum points, stuff like that. But I'm gonna probably just stick with Milan's first half. Not everything, because obviously they still picked up some sort of a result in the game, like we mentioned earlier. But just their first half, how they performed, so I guess merit a bit of a yellow card.
It's a late challenge, surely maybe the first yellow of the match.
I'm gonna give a small yellow to Atalanta. Actually, I lied, just because
even if they
they won 1-0 against Salernitana, but
not convincing.
No, they haven't been convincing at all this season. A lot of people are going to focus on Juve, right? Rightfully so, because they haven't won yet. But Atalanta is, I wouldn't say in the same boat, but they're not Atalanta of the past couple of years. I know one goal from Zapata, but I really was expecting more for them. So yellow card.
Especially against Salernitana.
And he now sees a flash of yellow before his eyes.
Sorry, Nick. Especially after just pointing at Salernitana, and again, no knock to them, but 1-0.
Yeah,
I mean, we saw Torino. We saw Juric's Torino score 4. Again, craziness, the madness of Serie A, guys. Yes, I understand, but it's a good point that you bring up with Atalanta, and we haven't spoken about it in a bit. There's a lot of, not a lot of, I haven't really seen a lot of it, but every now and then I kind of see is this like the down of Atalanta? Like, we've seen them so high for these past couple of seasons. Do you guys think maybe it's a bit of a down in terms of maybe positioning? Maybe they don't get top 4. Is that possible?
I say wait and see, because we're still 4 games in. There's still 34 games left. So we'll wait and see.
I know, but take that out of consideration. Like, I know that, but do you just the way they've been these 4 games? I know it's only 4 games, but just to say that the way they've performed, not typical Atalanta, for me it's a bit concerning, because I expect a lot more. I don't know, Johnny, if you think otherwise. I don't know.
I mean, obviously it's Atalanta. It's the Serie A darling of the past 4 seasons now, 5 seasons, give or take.
Yeah, 3, 4. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't expect this to continue. I think they will wake up after a while, but it'd be kind of interesting to see that actually happen, that Atalanta becomes out of top 4, especially after years and years of good consistency from them. It would be interesting to see, and it's completely possible, especially with this very slow start, because sometimes these slow starts are what kills you at the end, because when you reach at the end where those 1 or 2 points makes or breaks the Champions League spot, you look back at games like these, they did get the result, right? Duvan Zapata, being great like he usually is and stuff, but if I was an Atalanta supporter, I'd probably have some question marks and be a bit concerned. I'd be like, okay, we need to start fixing things around here and stuff. Maybe just get a little shake up. But Gasperini has gotten results for them before, so I wouldn't expect too much of a change to happen.
Yeah, plus there are still only 2 points from third, and Fiorentina and Udinese are ahead of them, so we won't expect those teams to stay much longer. MVPs, I'm going to go first because I want to give it to our guy, Ciccione with Sampdoria. Just in case you guys wanted to snag him. there's a lot of good takes for this week. Chicho got to be one of them. The early morning game, 2 goals against Empoli. Didn't celebrate his former team. Interesting stat that IFTV put out. I forget if it was after 31 years old or after 30 years old. Yeah. He scored 1 goal before 30, and then 50 goals after 30. Nuts. The guy. Yeah. Wow. The guy, yeah. I'm happy for him because he kind of had a down season last year. So at least he gets these 2 goals. Hopefully he can continue scoring for Samp. So he's my MVP of the week.
He finds Caputo. Caputo with the step over. Chicho Caputo does what Chicho Caputo does best. Burying the ball in the opposition net. It's 2 for Caputo. It's 2 for Samp.
Either of you? Johnny, Adri?
I'll go with
Jay. Yeah, go ahead. Take it away.
Yeah, I'm going to go with João Pedro for Cagliari. Goal and assist. Great game. He's always one of those players that doesn't, that he's a threat to worry about when you play against them. And I feel like as if he is a little bit underrated. But he had a great performance this week for them. And, especially, mind you, they lost their guy late. But still against a strong team like Lazio to help them get at least the result from them. I'm giving him my MVP of the week.
And Adri?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, shout out to Alberto getting the clean sheet in the game that Nick mentioned with Empoli and Samp there. Again, another shout out to Torino. That's 2 games from 2, picking up maximum points. This one against a tough squad in Sassuolo. Led by Dionisi, who, again, with a lot of question marks in terms of will Dionisi step up, taking over De Zerbi at Sassuolo. He's been unfortunate, I think, in these past 2 games. Could have had, more points, obviously. He got 0 and 0, but I think, they're in a bit of a tough spot, but I don't know. Dionisi has kind of surprised me a bit. So, but again, it's more the more there's a shout out is to Torino and Juric in terms of what he's brought to Torino. He's brought in a revived Torino that we haven't seen these past 2 seasons with their coaching, fiascos. But again, my main MVP is going to have to go to Giacomino Mio, Bonaventura in the Genoa-Fiorentina game, goal and an assist, and just, another player that depth guy plays for, it could be a depth guy, it could be a starter, and, pretty much all these Serie A teams. And again, still performing, huge game. Again, a bit of showers, bit of sunshine in that game too, we saw. And Fiorentina picked up the points. And again, credit to Italiano, Vincenzo Italiano. I think we can all agree, I would hope, I don't know, that he's doing some good things. And I like him as a coach. He's a young, modern Italian coach. What he did with Spezia last season was nothing short of amazing. And he goes to a Fiorentina side, which I find is a good place for him. And we saw his tactics and his decision making pay off. Many people were scratching their head. They're like, "What the hell? Taking off Nico Gonzalez and bringing on Saponara?" And what does Saponara do? He gets a goal and assist himself. I'm going to give it to Bonaventura because I'm a bit biased to his Milan days, but again, either of those guys could have gotten MVPs in my book. Another super strike for Saponara. And he went straight to pretty sure he went straight to Italiano to give him a hug there, and it's just some good times in Fiorentina right now. But again, those are big points against Genoa, who's been kind of up and down too. Got a win last week, picked up a loss this one. But I just like the overall atmosphere at Fiorentina. If they can keep it up, I don't want to say top 4 and all. Okay, now everybody's gonna go hype on Fiorentina. But just keep an eye. They'll be around. They'll be on the left side of the table for sure, in my opinion. Will they make it into Europa, this Conference League, whatever? We can maybe see that. So again, kudos to Italiano, but Giacomino Mio is getting my MVP of the week.
Oh, Giacomino! E quello è mio figlio!
Throwback to one of the best Liauto goal quotes. Giacomino Mio from Allegri. back when you could make memes about Allegri and not talk about his on-field performances. But that'll do it for us. Great episode with Total that we recorded in 2 parts with Kelly Chiavaro. A big thanks again to her. Yeah.
A big thanks again to her. Napoli Femminile just allowing us to interview Kelly. Again, we mentioned it on Wednesday. Very proud to have had her on the show. We wish her nothing but the best going forward, and for Napoli Femminile. But in terms of that, like the midweek games, before we wrap it up, Atalanta Sassuolo. Nick, looks interesting. You like to say Atalanta is the how do you say it?
Atalanta is the reborn version of Sassuolo. I forgot how I normally say it, but
Sassuolo is the OG Atalanta.
Yeah, exactly. The
original,
but maybe
Atalanta.
not. Well, okay, obviously Sassuolo's in near the level that when they were under Di Francesco 5-6 years ago. But yeah, so statement still applies.
Yeah, Fiorentina Inter. Yeah, exactly. Fiorentina Inter looks good. Obviously, Bologna Genoa should be interesting. Again,
there's not too much. I think
there's not too much.
Put the big games in the middle of the week.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of culture to come up. Definitely excited. We'll see how things pan out. And then what happens? Champions League Europa League kicks off again the week after. Is that it?
I think so. Yes. Yeah. And then there's international break right after. Because we're already almost the end of September, and then October, and then break, and then more games. It's busy time in the soccer world.
Yeah. So again, a big Johnny, bless you soul. Jesus Christ! I don't know if Johnny was at a wedding last night, so I don't know. So sorry for any I don't know if anybody can understand what Johnny's saying. A bit of a hoarse voice. I don't know. But
I carried the fucking dance floor entertainment yesterday night. It was myself and it was all high school friends and stuff, and myself and my 2 other best friends. We were just on the dance floor the entire night, and yeah, it was an awesome time.
There you go. So no voice, no hamstring anymore. I don't know. Johnny may have pulled something. I don't know. But no, jokes aside, again, guys, it's been a great chat. And again, we want to thank Kelly Chiavaro, Napoli Femminile, for the interview. Obviously, like we said, to open the show, it's been a busy week. We hope to continue to be busy going down the stretch into next week. And again, guys, where you can follow us at the Calcio Guys on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube as well. And catch our podcast on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Give it a like, share, subscribe, and spread the word and share it to a friend. Let's keep this Calcio buzz going. We'll be back next week to talk about more Calcio.
Thanks for listening.
Ciao.
Bye.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adreano DiNardo, Gianni Delacoli, and myself, Nicholas DiGiovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The outro song is The Last Ones by Jazar.